I'm going to read a few poems, and I want to save most of the time for Leslie, because you know those fiction writers, they take a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't just read, a couple of lines and step away. You gotta, once you're in it, you're going to stay in it. First is a poem called "Finding My Place in It All." On warm September nights, I drive the car out to the dry meadows to walk under the stars. They stare down from the dark blue vault of heaven, dwarfing my sorrows beneath their colossal patterns. To know my life is less than a sliver of grass, glued to a speck of macrocosmic dust, mocks self-pity and puts pride in its place. With terror and awe, I lift my hands into space, asking nothing, unable to utter a prayer, offering my life to the vast Lord who is everywhere, invisible, unnameable, ruler of light and dark, in whom I move and breathe, for whom I work on love's behalf, struggling to build and protect the shimmering variations of infinite, unfathomable intellect. It is by poems that we live. It is by poems that we live and keep alive that which the world and life otherwise would break, kill, mock, destroy, ignore, or shape into the common mask that all must wear, except in secret, where unfurled like long banners of purely unrepentant joy, we dance and sing and laugh and are redeemed. Floating on my back. July afternoon in Las Vegas, sinfully hot. I'm floating on my back on a mesh raft in the modest backyard pool where my son lives. My granddaughter, age 13, a leggy gazelle with mischief in her eyes, floats on a raft beside me. She has a squirt gun, and I have a squirt gun, filled and ready, while we float quietly around, bumping gently. 5 summers ago, in the city pool in Pocatello, I taught her to float on her back. It's the most difficult skill one can teach, to relax and lie back in the water, held by another's hands. Once she caught on, she was floating all over the lazy river like a buoyant cork, confident and joyous. Sometimes we floated around together, side by side, her slim arm resting on my wrist like a tether. It is something we share, this floating and looking up, trusting each other to be calm and still. Then she rolls off and blasts me a good one in the face. The treasuries of the snow. A line ripped off from the book of Job. Drifts pile heavy on the windward banks, deposited by a 3-day blizzard and blow. Desert people, desperate for summer water, know how precious these huge drifts that melt for months. This afternoon, I skied beneath a cornice, massive as a frozen wave, remembering the scouring winds that shaped it weeks ago. In bright sunlight, with irreligious joy, I skimmed across the treasuries of the snow. Now that poem is actually carved in granite. The Pocatello Arts Council, over several years, decided to create what they call poetry pavers. So anyone could apply, submit a short poem, and then, if selected by the council, which most of them were, they would be put on a paving stone and set in the sidewalk somewhere in Old Town Pocatello. So there are 30 or so of these all around. And if you walk around Old Town Pocatello, you'll say, oh, what's that? Oh, a poem, my goodness sakes. And there it is. And that was one of them. It's February. Lovely month. Bitterly cold. It's a tough month. So I wrote a poem for it called In the Bleak Midwinter's Teeth. Get my revenge back at the month. Now we suffer, and this is Shakespearean. Now is the winter of my discontent. Now we suffer the bleak midwinter's teeth. Not December blizzards swirling and bright with Christmas cheer and glowing Christmas lights, nor January storms pillowing the slopes with knee-deep drifts of powder skiers crave, but rather late February, waking up at 5 to blow the driveway clean of windswept scrum that rebuilt all the night were blown before, the hardened, compact, frozen, sculptured shells that even in first gear with grinding force 11 horses scarce can gnaw through inch by inch, beneath the scattered, stark, unpatterned stars, relentless gale winds whipping pellets into your face, and tulip bulbs, lavender, the garden, under 2 feet of ice. It is relenting. And speaking of Lent, a poem titled Lent. Sometimes I feel the weight of all my sins, knowing now on reflection as a man of years how much real damage I inflicted on those I love. Didn't think of it then, can't forget it now. Words carelessly spoken, curses, temper, flash in a pan, reckless, self-driven, thoughtless choices, hurting wife, daughter, son. Wounds long past, no way now to reconcile or repair, except God heal them in His way, beyond understanding. Confessed, forgiven, yes, but still one bears the weight of what was said and done and cannot be changed. Live a long life, you'll carry a heavy load till it brings you to your knees in the middle of the road. And the final poem is very recent. A lot of things that I write are ways of surviving things that either you witness or we generally suffer corporately and can do nothing about except witness and suffer. And this one is called For the Dead at Sandy Hook. Eternal things are all we hold in mind in a world unmade by murder at the school. The temporal things we seek cannot be found. Birds that flicker brightly branch to branch, smooth stones glistening in the broken stream, become the names we say without a sound. Dawn Hochsprung, Mary Sherlock, Anne Marie Murphy, who sprang with sudden courage toward the guns. Victoria Soto, Lauren Gabriella Rousseau, Rachel Davino, who shielded with their bodies the innocent ones. And those children, clear eyes, bright smiles, faces, all natural things, blue sky, bird flight, waterfall, hold the permanent treasure of their names. Charlotte, Daniel, Olivia, Josephine and Anna, Dylan, Madeline, Catherine, Chase and Jesse, James, Grace, Emily, Jack and Noah, Caroline, Jessica, Abiel, Benjamin, Allison, and Nancy, mother, murdered by her son. His name held back, unspeakable, unspoken. On all these names, cry mercy, everyone. Cry mercy on our hearts and voices broken. Thank you. Now Leslie's going to lift us up with something really wonderful.